Hello, Tiffany.
Hello, Kat.
How you doing? I do want to point out to listeners that because of scheduling, today we are recording in the midst of the day, so this is very different for us.
Yeah, totally different. I was just out in my garden because I've just had so much shit happening in life lately that's like the only thing I can bring myself to do aside from like half-ass work.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Let's just go put dirt under our nails.
oh my God, it's so great. I'm obsessed. I was obsessed last year and it's just becoming worse this year, like a bigger
Um,
obsession.
that's good.
But
I
it's
mean,
good. It's a good
it's a healthy
thing.
obsession. Yeah, it's not,
It is.
heroin or something. So congrats.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's flat.
There are,
Zinnia is not heroin.
yeah, yeah. There's our T-shirt. Zinnia is not heroin.
I love it.
But
So
yeah,
anyway, I hope I don't look like a hot mess. I hope I look like I have a healthy
no,
glow rather than a sweaty
yeah.
forehead.
Oh, sweaty foreheads are all the rage right now. So,
Oh, good.
uh, I think that's a great segue, actually. Speaking of, what's one other way to get a really great sweaty forehead? Bike somewhere.
I was like, I think you're gonna say bike somewhere. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, because this week we're talking about bikes, right?
nice.
Um, Now, usually they're the domain of Europeans in Amsterdam, say, or Scandinavia. That's where we usually see it. But biking, spoiler alert, can make a big difference in your carbon impact. However, there are caveats.
Oh,
So, welcome to the bike edition of Greeting Up My Act.
all right.
I'm excited about this one. I know you also used to cycle to work. Um, so we've both dabbled in the bike commuter community in the past, and I have only good things to say about it, which did give me some bias in my research, but I think I found some pieces that are worth looking at. But I guess what we should start with is, do you want to tell those lovely listeners out there who are we?
Sure. Yeah, so we are Greeting at My Act. We're two people who are like normal people, but also we have marketing superpowers. No, just kidding. No, our day jobs are as marketing writers, so we have insight into marketing fluff and words that are meaningless, but marketers add in to make you think, make you feel really, make you feel stuff
Yeah,
about the products. So we kind of wanted to use these powers, with our powers combined. We wanted to expose green hooey as much as we could, and also expose stuff. Not really expose, but unearth stuff that's like really awesome and actually is doing what it says it's doing and is a really, yeah, just like really honest. Because we found
things
some
that are
really
yeah
awesome, honest
yeah
companies.
things that are worth or things that are worth doing if you feel any kind of need to, as we call, green up your act, right? To try and live a more sustainable lifestyle. There are actually steps you can take and things you can do that aren't just consumerist nonsense. So we found a lot of
Yes.
those, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And this is season 5, which
season
is crazy.
5. Yeah.
That's insane.
Our
We're
baby's going
focusing
to kindergarten.
on,
Yeah.
oh, don't say that.
Okay, because your
Charlie
baby's
is
going to go to kindergarten
3.
soon. Yeah, you
Ah.
have 2 years.
I know I have 2
Sorry.
years. Anyway, it's okay. It's okay. She's already such a big girl. It's fine. So yeah, this season we're focusing on travel and transportation. So we're
Right.
talking about today we're talking about bicycles, which I'm
Bicycles, yes.
excited about.
Which, yeah, they're my favorite mode of transportation.
Oh
And
yeah.
I should just be clear on that in the front. But I did look up sources this week. So we've been trying to limit it to 5. So I have 5 main sources, and then I have 4 kind of secondary sources that I don't really quote from, but I kind of mention. So
Used.
they're
Yeah.
I didn't really use them. The tabs were open.
I
Um,
gotcha. Yeah, I don't
yeah.
usually write those down because I don't feel like it. So you
Yeah.
don't even
Well,
have to
this
tell us if you don't
was,
want.
I mean, or like there's one line from them or something. They're not really.
Yeah.
Um, but one of them is something I wrote that I
Oh,
think could be a fun fluff piece for people to read. Not fluff piece, but it ties in.
nice.
So my
Love
main
that.
sources were UCLA, the University of California in Los Angeles, transportation, how riding a bike benefits the environment. I had an article from REI about bicycling for beginners. The Harvard News had an article on is cycling safe? Dun dun dun. Bicycle, BUY cycle, so they're a bike sales website, just full disclosure there,
Okay.
but they had a kind of fluffy rundown. It's not that fluffy. It's a good piece about how much does a bike cost, basically, so they can sell you a bike. But still, it's a pretty good.
Yeah.
And then Pew Research did a study on car, bike, or motorcycle, and it depends on where you live. That's from 2015, so it's a little older, but it had some interesting statistics about who owns bike, where, and why. So
Okay. Yeah, I
I
like
thought that was
Pew.
good.
They're good.
Yeah. The article I wrote is a blog think piece that I wrote myself when I was commuting 10 years ago. It's called "How Being a Cyclist is Like Being a Woman," and I
Love
had that
it.
published up on Medium. Yeah. There was a quick note. The online magazine Velo, which is the word for bicycle in French, by Outside Magazine, had a quickie. It says you should read this. Cycling is bad for the environment. It's kind of a joke.
Oh,
The IRS has a document on commuter benefits, so about tax refunds you can get for different commuting methods.
what?
And then yeah,
Okay,
I'll tell you.
this is
I'll
real
go into that
life.
a little bit.
Okay.
It's real,
Wow.
but it's disappointing.
Okay.
Sorry. And then I opened this one and I realized it was from January of 1993, the National Bicycling and Walking Study from the U.S. Department of Transportation Federal Highway Administration. I don't know if there's a new one, but this one's from 30 years ago. And
That's
I was kind of like,
insane.
have they not updated it since then? But anyway, I opened that and I didn't really take it very seriously, but I'm going to post it in case people want to take a look at like how we felt about bicycling as a federal administration in 1993. So those are my sources. Do with them what you will. And yeah, they are biased towards bicycling. You can tell by my Google search terms. I was doing like, what's good about bicycling?
Yeah.
But I did look up why shouldn't you bicycle. So that's where one of those articles came from.
Okay.
All right. So the meat and potatoes this week. What are we talking about? Bikes. Did you ever see the Tom Segura?
So loud. My ears hurt.
If you Tom Segura had a special where he talks about he would just walk around and yell bikes whenever he saw them, and I do that now.
No, I don't even know who that is, to be totally honest.
Okay,
I
he's a
think it's
comedian and he
Oh,
has
okay.
a very successful podcast, so maybe we should mention him more. Just kidding. But we're talking about bicycles, and I want to be clear. I'm not talking about electric bicycles. I'm not talking about motor scooters. I'm not talking about electric scooters. I'm talking about the bike you get on that has two wheels that you use your feet to pedal. Usually has gears. Usually has brakes. That's it. I'm not even going to talk about the merits of one type. Well, I might talk a little bit about the merits of one type of bike over another, but just bicycles. We're talking about bicycles to specifically not for recreational purposes, but to get places.
Okay.
Commuting to work or running all your errands, that kind of bicycling. Recreational bicycling is cool too, but I'm not talking about like joining a club and racing. I'm not talking about triathlon. I'm talking about
Right.
bikes as a tool, basically to replace gasoline-powered vehicles.
Yeah, that makes
So-
sense.
That's my focus. So the way that we've structured the past season and this season is we ask first, what eco-friendly claims does this product or service make? So bicycling makes a lot. The first one is cleaner air. So UCLA throws this out there because bikes don't use fuel, they don't emit any carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, fine particulates, etc. Everything that a gas-burning vehicle does, bikes don't do. Easy peasy. Kind of a no-brainer. Although this is the reason I had that article by Velo up. A couple years ago, a state representative in Washington named Ed Orcutt sent an email to someone saying that cycling is bad for the environment because people exhale carbon dioxide when they pedal because their heart rates go up and they breathe more. And everybody kind of jumped on him like, you're an idiot. And he was like, okay, my point was not that biking is bad for the environment. He was saying that there is no such thing as a mode of transportation that is zero carbon output. Human beings cannot be zero carbon output because we do exhale carbon dioxide.
Right.
Okay, at a bare minimum. He was talking about carbon taxes and how kind of stupid they are because, I mean, that's a really apples and oranges comparison because it's not like you'd have to get millions of human beings together to emit the same amount of carbon dioxide as a single commuter vehicle. You know, like it's a dumb comparison. So anyway, bikes are better for the environment. I'm just going to put that out there. No matter how hard you are pedaling, if you are riding a bike instead of taking a car, you are emitting less carbon into the environment, period. Okay? Let's just accept
And
that as a fact.
yeah, I mean, I get where he was going because I've heard really like carbon taxes are kind of like not the solution,
They're
but
dumb. Yeah.
yeah, but we can look into that at some point. But
Yeah. Yeah.
probably for our advocacy
Yeah.
season, next season.
And I think this episode also will end very, very heftily to our advocacy season. So we'll put a pin in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like making the perfect the enemy of the good. If you're taking that sentence literally, like it's just so
Yeah,
stupid.
just kill all humans then. What are you talking?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
that's not how this
yeah.
works.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Another benefit is less noise. So bikes, even if you got the loudest bike horn in the world and you put a Bluetooth speaker on your bike, you're gonna have less noise in traffic. Period. It's I don't even think we have to like. You cannot put enough playing cards in your spokes to make as much noise as a single vehicle car. And I know that electric cars are quieter, but cars are noisy. Trucks are noisy. That's pretty obvious.
It's kind of crazy. Well, no, sorry. It's kind of crazy because you don't really, as an American anyway, you don't really think about the noise very much. At least I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think about when the cars drive by my house, but you kind of tune it out. And my husband was watching this guy who on YouTube, I don't remember his name, but he was looking at like the noise pollution in Amsterdam versus noise pollution in U.S. cities, and it's a huge difference, and it really does, that background constant annoyance noise. It does kind of affect the quality of your life in ways.
It does. I think, there was a podcast episode I listened to, and I bring this up a lot about sound ecosystems. Mm-hmm. And how human machinery interrupts it. So, for instance, the example I thought was really amazing was that there are frogs in Florida that have evolved to synchronize their croaking throughout the night so that they sound like one big frog spread out over however many miles. And they achieve this in about 20 minutes at the beginning of the night, and it keeps them from being hunted by predators. Because an owl or, another animal can't single them out. And in the 70s or 80s, they put an Air Force base that did night tests of airplanes, jets, and they found that it decimated or more than decimated that frog population because the noise would interrupt their synchronized croaking and they'd have to get synced back together again several times throughout the night. And so frogs they were just being picked off by owls and other predators. So it's a thing we don't think about, but that soundscapes are as much a part of our ecosystem as, how the water interacts or how the air interacts. And it's not like when people take speakers out in the woods when they go camping, they're disrupting delicately balanced sound structures that have been there for thousands of years, and we don't think about that kind of pollution having an effect, but it does. And cars are part of that. Highway traffic is a major part of that.
Yep.
So it is interesting that you say that we might not notice it as people. Like, I forget, I can hear the freeway from my house here. There's a major road by my parents' house in Albuquerque. When I'm out in the middle of nowhere in New Mexico, we might have to have an extra discussion about this, but I went to the Lightning Field, which is an art installation in the middle of nowhere in New Mexico, and you cannot hear cars because there are none. And it really makes a difference in your feelings and how you experience things. So, I think that's a bigger ecological concern than we maybe consider.
Yeah, and that we can cover today.
Also. I just went off on a 10-minute tangent. But anyway.
No, I started it.
Well, no, but I agree with you, and it's something I do think, cycling cuts down on noise, and that's important. So, Another benefit, and this is something we've talked about that we try not to get into too much, but health in people beyond just not polluting the air as much. Obviously, riding a bicycle is healthier for you than sitting in a car. You're expending energy. It reduces. Oh, I put this in the wrong place.
If there's the right infrastructure anyway, because otherwise.
Well, and I'm going to get into that. Healthy in terms of your physical health. If you're riding a bike, you are reducing your risk of Alzheimer's disease. Studies have shown you're reducing your risk of cardiac incidents, obesity, diabetes. You know, it's just exercise is good for you, and it ends up bicycling as exercise. So, yeah, it's healthier, and it also doesn't pollute the air, which means less lung issues in the people around you. Yeah. You get it reduces stress. Also, it allows you to enjoy the world around you more. A car just kind of cuts you off, but a bike, you smell the fresh air, you hear the birds, you know. When I used to bike to work, I had a fellow bike commuter. He'd be like, "Oh man, the smells are just so amazing when you're on the bike path and you're not on a road, and it's like the trees and the gnats in your face and the bees down your shirt." I'm just kidding. But yeah, you get more interaction with nature, and you.
Oh yeah, big time.
And you're not angry. One of the things about being in a car is that you basically become a machine that is battling other machines. On a bike, you're a person on a bike, and you don't experience that kind of head stress. I found when I was biking to work, even when I had to bike along traffic, I was so much less angry when I got to work than I would be if I was sitting in traffic for 20 minutes. So
absolutely.
Even if the bike ride was twice as long.
Some people are dicks as bikers, but
well, and I get into that
that's
too.
Rare,
Yeah. So I mean, if really, and some people are dicks in cars against bikers, which is another thing I'll get into.
Yes, I have some stories.
Yeah, me too. My last point is it does save you money. So this one is definitely easier to quantify. Bikes are easier to maintain than a car. They cost less on the upfront. They don't necessarily depreciate in the same way that a car does. There's less moving parts. I mean, you can pay someone to maintain your bike. I mean, you can change your own oil, but parts are less expensive. You can watch a YouTube video and figure out how to lube your chain and fix your derailleur,
Even change a tire. Like, I got real good at changing tires.
Yeah. REI, who I quoted from, they used a 2013 study by AAA that cars cost over $9,000 a year to maintain based on 15,000 miles per year average use. That's gone up exponentially. So you're probably at least 10 grand on a car that doesn't need much maintenance, right?
Jesus Christ.
You don't ever have to spend that much on a bike. I mean, you can get we'll go into pricing, but they save you money. You don't have to refuel a bike, like $30 a week on gas if you're filling up your tank. Not going to spend that on a bike.
Right.
Maybe more food, but even then, it's not going to cost you the same as a full tank of gas. There's no way that one more sandwich a week is going to cost. Yeah. So, also, you don't need expensive gear to bike. I mean, you can if you want to get into it, like a padded. Well, I'll get into the pricing in a little bit, but you just need a helmet, and a pair of shoes and clothes that you're comfortable in, and a bike. So, and lastly, you don't usually have to pay to park your bike. So that's a
except
that's a
if
cost
you need a lock. Those can be a little bit pricey.
Locks
but
can get expensive. $70. Yeah, but that's
like
a
$70
price.
Exactly, and they last forever.
Yeah, you can pay that parking your car one night.
Yeah.
Out at a show or something downtown. So, I mean, if you, over the span of a year, it's like $125 a week for a lock.
Yes.
That's an hour of parking your car somewhere. So,
yeah, and I had a lock for it lasted over 5 years and heavy use too, banged it up. Yeah.
I've still got the same chain lock I bought in 2010.
Yeah.
So, that's 14 years I've had, and it was a $30. I mean, I should have a heavier bike lock, but it's easy. It's got a little combination Somebody's
Okay.
tried to cut through it. I should probably buy a new one, but yeah, it has served me
Someone
well.
tried to cut through my U-lock too, and they didn't. They were
Yeah.
not successful. But I noticed, and I was like, why is there like a saw mark right here?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a good lock can cost you money, but not as much as a car. Period. It's just
No,
there's
not even close.
even if you go crazy with a $20,000 road bike, it's not the same.
Yeah.
So
20,000. I can't even
people,
imagine.
I know
God.
people can spend. I'm gonna go a little bit further. Well, I think now would be a time to take a break. Let's take a break right now.
All right, sweet.
Cool. Okay, so the other thing we've been asking after we go through what the eco-friendly claims are for every system or product that we're reviewing is, do these claims hold up? And I'll say emphatically yes. Yes, bikes are better for the environment, they're better for your health, etc. According to that UCLA article, more than half of our daily trips are under 3 miles. And that is a perfect distance to bike. 3 miles, if you're going 15 miles an hour, you're going to get there relatively the same amount of time with stop signs and everything as you would from driving. So if you choose to ride a bike instead of taking a car for just one of those trips, you can reduce your carbon emissions from transportation by 2/3.
Whoa.
67%.
Wait, hold on. That's less than I thought.
67.
So
That's just one. If I take 2 trips a day in my car, and they're both 3
Yes.
miles. If I
Uh-huh.
do one of those, more than half of the trips that we take in a day are under 3 miles. Okay, if I choose to replace one of those with a bike instead of a car,
Okay.
so if I replace all of
misunderstood.
them, that's different. Yes, you can
Okay,
reduce
okay.
your impact even more. They were just saying bare minimum. You just,
Okay.
instead of going to the grocery store down the street in your car, you take your bike in a backpack. You cut your carbon emissions by 67%.
Okay,
right?
wow. All right, that's huge.
Yeah. So they're saying that even if people just rode their bikes a little bit more, just like one trip a day, they could save anywhere from 6 to 14 million tons of carbon dioxide a year. So we've gone through this. They're stating that a typical car burns 5 metric tons of carbon dioxide a year, which I think was low. But yeah. Also, the claims, yes, biking is better for your health. You have a lower risk of Alzheimer's, lower risk of obesity, lower risk of cancer, lower risk of premature death, lower risk of cardiovascular disease, and you address climate change through reduction in pollution.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, all of those claims hold up. Nobody's lying about how good bicycling is for you. Some interesting facts, though, from that Pew Research article from 10 years ago. Bikes are more prevalent in the world than cars, in the whole world. There's more bikes than cars. However,
Does that include like motorized ones, or is that just bicycles?
they separate. No, they're not talking about. This is just plain bicycles. They're not talking about motorized
Whoa,
bicycles.
that's
They
really
also.
shocking.
You should look at that article. Well, it's because they're easier to maneuver in places.
Yeah.
I mean, motorbikes are more prevalent than cars, also.
Yeah,
And they're also cheaper to own. Yeah,
Right.
especially in like less wealthy nations, bicycles are more prevalent. However, in the most wealthy nations, they're also extremely prevalent. Like in Scandinavia, Germany,
Yeah.
those places have more bikes than cars. However, in America, 88% of Americans own a car. A little more than half, 53%, own a bike.
Okay, that's actually more than I thought.
And that's just for recreational use, though, too. I mean, like,
Yeah.
that's not saying even these people use their bikes every day. They just own a bike.
Right.
Half of
Yep.
Americans. Wealthier people are more likely to own bikes in the U.S. than less wealthy people. Even though, no matter how wealthy you are more likely to own a car in America than elsewhere. So, rich people and poor people in America all have cars. But rich people overwhelmingly have the most bikes.
Oh my god. I hate
And
that.
they say the reason for this is because bicycling is seen as a hobby in the U.S.
Yeah.
rather than a mode of transportation, which makes
Right.
sense. And I'm going to get into that in a minute here. But I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Wow.
And the
Okay.
reason for that is we don't have bike infrastructure.
Right.
So I'm going to turn things around a little bit here and say, does the Earth-friendly message need to come back to Earth? That's a question that we ask usually at the end. And I'm going to switch that around with, is this something a normal person could do and afford? Because I put all of my research into why you shouldn't bike in this section, and I think this is important.
Okay.
So the Earth-friendly message doesn't need to come back to Earth, with one caveat. Most people in the U.S. don't live in a bike-friendly area, as you yourself have pointed out.
Yes, I knew this was coming.
Yes. So, bottom line, bicycling on highways or high-speed roads or even low-speed roads without infrastructure for bicyclists is flat-out dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Harvard article that I read was pretty clear about it. If we are, this quote direct, if we are talking about cycling in general, which would apply to all populations, meaning fit or less fit men and women, children, seniors, and parents with children on their bicycles, then no, cycling is not safe.
Wow.
So they say some obvious risks that you might think about are air pollution from vehicles. You're going to be inhaling that. E-bike riders who pass you unannounced or other people going faster than you are likely to hit you. Bicycles also pose a risk to pedestrians when they're going faster in the same lanes. People opening car doors. But
Yes.
the most... Yes, somebody opening a car door into a bike lane, you just slam into it, you're fucked.
Trolley lanes. I might have
Yep.
experience with that.
Bus lanes, yeah. A bus coming
Yep.
barreling down at you, you're sharing a lane with a bus, forget it. But the biggest threat to a bicyclist is moving vehicles.
Yeah.
Okay, so an interesting thing they talk about. Infrastructure for biking was introduced in the U.S., so all of the planning and laws and regulations that they have about federal infrastructure for biking, even state, city infrastructure, was created and developed by men in the 1970s. And their prevailing argument was that cyclists perform better or have a better chance of safety if they are treated as a moving vehicle by other moving vehicles. So you treat a bike like a car. This went against what a lot of women at the time were saying, which was that we should have car-free areas for bicycles. You should remove bicycles from car-heavy streets.
Right.
So they said, nah, cyclists should be treated like cars, and instead of doing what you said would make you feel safer, we need you to take classes on how to bike more like a man. That was literally the response, is here's classes you should take on how to be a more aggressive cyclist. So this reminded me of the article I wrote, or the think piece about how being a cyclist is like being a man, or excuse me, is like being a woman. So on the road, I mean, you could read the whole thing, but it's like, as women, we are taught that our safety is our problem. What you dress, how are you following the rules? Are you participating in something that even though is legal, it's not safe for you, so you maybe shouldn't do it? Because we're not going to enforce laws that would make you safer. We're going to say it's your fault. Were you wearing reflective gear? Were you wearing a helmet? How visible were you? Were you in the bike lane? Did you run a stop sign? All of these things.
Were you wearing a short skirt?
Yeah, exactly. It
Feels
sounds
familiar.
What did you say to the motor vehicle
Yeah.
to piss them off so that they would run you off the road? But one of the main points I pointed out was that rape is one of the least prosecuted crimes against women in the United States. Only 36% of sexual assaults are ever reported, even, and that's fewer than that is ever leads to a conviction. Similarly, in the U.S., and I don't have the numbers on this, but if a vehicle hits a bicycle on the road, they can argue they just didn't see them. And very rarely does someone get any kind of criminal prosecution for killing a cyclist on the road.
Oh my God.
It usually would only happen, they would probably actually be prosecuted for a DWI if they're intoxicated. More likely, if they're not intoxicated, forget it. There's nothing going to happen. So they said, for instance, drivers are not held responsible for cyclist deaths because they just don't see them. And this is by design. Over the past 2 decades, according to Harvard, motor vehicle design has looked to increase vehicle occupant safety while diminishing biker visibility. To protect vehicle occupants from crashes, the car now has wide pillars between the windows, right, for airbags, a higher side beltline body, larger headrests, and smaller back windows. All of this diminishes your ability to see, for a driver to see bicyclists. Have not taken that into consideration.
Wow.
So another thing they were talking about is that women are different demographically when they ride bicycles. So it is a huge failing on the part of our infrastructure system to only take male road cyclists into account. So we're far more likely to be hit by cars, women are, and slower cyclists, so that includes the elderly or children, because we tend to bike more slowly. The quote here is, physiologically, women have less leg strength and tend to ride heavier bikes that have baskets or racks for carrying groceries or bags. A 2010 study found that women take longer bicycling through an intersection, especially when riding uphill. Research published in 2016 concluded that women bicycle 2 to 3 kilometers per hour slower than men, so that's almost a mile per hour slower, and that they tend to maintain the same speed while bicycling, whereas men will speed up and slow down more often. One study found that men will go through a red light to get ahead of traffic. They'll break the law because they want to get ahead of the traffic, which probably makes sense from a safety perspective as a cyclist. But women will follow the law, wait at the green light, and then be killed by a truck turning who's using the same green light, right? So women are more likely
I used to run red lights all the time because of that exact reason. Like when it was safe.
Yes, right. Not when oncoming traffic is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being like sitting there in that corner is so scary.
So scary. Yes, especially when they have a right turn and they can turn on red too. It's terrifying.
Yes. Yep.
So the correct answer to this is not we need bicyclists to be better at bicycling. The correct answer is, we need better bike infrastructure. We need protected bike lanes. We need separate bike lanes. We need them not to be sidewalks because barreling over pedestrians is just as dangerous.
Yeah.
You're going 15, 20 miles an hour, pedestrians going 3, 4 miles an hour. You're going to kill them on your bicycle. Not safe to be cruising along on sidewalks, but it's also not safe to be on the street. So, for that reason and that reason alone, the earth-friendly message does need to come back to earth. Bicycling is better for the environment. It's better for all of us, except in the United States where we are so pro-car that we can't frickin' make it safe for people to do what is best for the environment.
Right. No, I think a lot about I think about it all the time. Like, I think I've mentioned my road it's a 35 mile per hour road. It's a country road. It's pretty winding. Bikers love it. Like, they love it. But I'm talking, like, the competitive bikers, like, full racing suits, whatever. Like, fancy road bikes. It's also the demographic of this area, like you said, like the rich. It's a very, like, unbelievably rich area, and we're like the heathens in the corner. But we're
Get
like
that feeling, yeah.
And it's like 20 bikers a day will go by my house, and it's a 35 mile per hour road, but people go 50 to 60 miles an hour, no problem. And it just blows my mind, like, how brave you have to be to do that, first off, and how frustrated I am that I can't because I'm too afraid. And it's like, to be able to leave my house and bike on this beautiful, like, gorgeous country road would be such a treat. And I've actually looked into how to advocate for the, how do I get a bike lane here? Because, my God, would that make such a difference? And I don't know, it's not impossible, but it would take a lot of time and energy and a lot of just stuff I don't have right now. So
Yeah.
I'm like, that would be the dream, but it's just, it would be such an uphill battle that I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, and I think probably you'd find that you have a lot of neighbors who feel the same, because biking is such a fun activity for children.
Yes.
And family
I've,
bike rides, and, yeah.
yeah, I've actually considered, because so many people go by here that are biking, I've considered like setting up a little lemonade stand and being like free lemonade for bikers, and then just talking to people and being like, is this something you would support? Like sign a petition.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Yeah. I think that's a great idea. I mean, and I would, just for the record, cyclists love coffee for some reason.
oh, there you go. That's true. I used
Get
to
a
work
pot
in
of coffee. Yes.
yeah, like a specialty coffee shop, and it was attached to a bike shop. It's
Yep.
so true.
Yep. Cyclists and coffee. It's the weirdest thing. They like beer too,
Yep.
but I think coffee's an easier sell. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I was thinking lemonade with Charlie, but
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be down by that road. So
Yeah, you're like, I'm removing my child from this because it's dangerous, but here's some coffee. Would you sign a petition to make it safe for me to bring my child out to this road?
yes,
I
exactly.
Yeah, I used to ride my bike when I lived in Chama, New Mexico, which has a population of 1,200 people or less, and I rode on the highway. And
Yeah.
there's no cars there, but it was still freaking dangerous. Just takes one giant truck that's not looking to kill me. Yeah. And
I'm trying to fix my camera.
oh yeah. I was like, yeah, it's that close. Yeah, you're right. But I mean, and that's the biggest barrier to biking in the United States is infrastructure. 100%.
Yeah. Yep.
So that can't be ignored. But on that note, I want to end this a little bit better. Let's talk about things you can do to make, beyond joining your bicycle advisory committee in your town, if you can, and petitioning to have, I mean, one of the things that a lot of activists do is they participate in, like, what is that event called? Mass Ascension, I think? No, that's when all the balloons go up at the Balloon Fiesta. But there's a mass gathering of bicycles, like, every Thursday night in Austin, where they take over the road, and it's 200 cyclists, and they just bicycle, and they take over the whole road.
I went to a couple of like group rides in DC, but it wasn't that big. But we also took over the road, and I'm sure people were very annoyed.
Yeah, but that's something to like get visibility out there, like
and
cyclists.
Also we're bicycles have right of way too.
Yeah, we are allowed
Yeah.
Legally. We're allowed to be here.
Yeah. Can I tell you a real quick story about the
please.
bullshit that the worst thing I went through, I think, aside
Yeah.
from like getting my tire stuck in the trolley tracks and just flying off my bike. That was
Oh
horrible.
God, that's horrible. That's awful.
I didn't even,
okay.
it was like, I felt so dumb after because I was like, just think it through, Tiffany. Your tire's not going to just glide right over.
Oh, well.
Anyway, PSA for everybody else. I was at an intersection. I might have even told this story. I feel like we've talked about this before, but I was at an intersection at night. I think it was like 11 o'clock at night. Nobody really around except for a taxi behind me. And they pulled up to the light. It was a red light. I didn't feel like running the light. And this guy, like, revved his engine and got right behind my tire. And then I was like,
wow.
Just shocked. And I was like, I wasn't going to move because I was like, screw you. And then he revved his engine again. And he was like basically going to run me over. Like that's what it felt like. And he forced me to run the red light, even though it didn't feel safe. And I was just like, are you crazy? Are you crazy?
Wow. Then that's the kind of thing where I wish I had the wherewithal to like get my phone out and like film them.
I know.
Hey, this is going straight to the police. You want to do that again? I got your license plate.
I know, but like you said, like who knows if the police would have done anything?
Well, that, and who knows if that would have made him angrier. I mean, that's the other. Right. It's just like being a woman.
I know.
You don't know if telling them to stop is going to make it. The best thing you can do, and probably the safest thing you could do in that situation was run away. Yeah. So good on you, but at the same time, fuck that noise. That makes me so angry.
Yes, it was horrible. It was very unsettling because I was like, I almost got run over on purpose.
Literally could have been killed.
Yeah.
By someone who's just, and for no, like, you're at a red light. Was he turning?
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, he could have waited 10 seconds.
10
like, I
seconds.
wasn't, yeah,
Yeah.
it was insane.
You weren't delaying his day
No.
So I used to wear bunny ears in my helmet because, first of all, it made me very visible.
Mm-hmm.
But secondly, people thought twice about hitting the girl with the bunny ears. They're like, either she's like kind of a little, there might be something wrong with her, you know, or she's crazy. And like, you know, nobody's
Yeah.
gonna, like, either of
It's
those
like
kept me safe.
Louise from Bob's Burgers.
Exactly. I wear bunny ears. But I would get, people would pull up next to me and I'd be like, oh man, they roll down their window and they'd have their kid in the back seat and be like, tell her what you told me. And the kid would be like, I like your ears. And I'd be like, thank you. I grew them myself. Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
that made me feel better. But I also used to have like, I would ride with a backpack before I got saddlebags, and I would have like my bike pump, which is like a baton. And I
Yeah.
always was like ready to get it out and just like clobber a car if they got too close to, you know.
my
I never did,
God.
but I thought about it a lot. But
Yes.
I've never had that kind of terrifying experience. I've definitely had people get a little too close. The other thing is, if you're driving a car and there's a bike, don't be nice, be predictable. Follow the rules.
Yes.
Because if we're at a stop sign and you wave me through, but the other guy doesn't want to wave me through, I'm dead. So, like, understand, I'm going to stop at the stop sign and I'm going to look at you and let you go, because I don't know if another guy's going to come through and kill me. So, like, thank you. I
Yes.
appreciate it. I know that, yeah, you're saving me 15 seconds, but you could also be endangering my life. So, don't be
Yes.
nice. Be predictable. Give cyclists at least 3 feet of room if you can. Move over. You know,
Yeah.
slow down, wait for the chance, and then pass them like you would on a 2-lane road. Give them the lane. You know, like, it takes 10 seconds out of your day, seriously, to save a cyclist's life. And
Right.
look for cyclists. When you're going to open your car door and you're parked
Yeah,
by
when
a
you're
bike
opening.
lane,
Yep.
turn with, if you are in the driver's seat and you turn to open your door with your right hand, so you have to cross your right arm over your body, it'll force you to look behind.
Yeah.
So that's something I try to do when I'm parking in the city, is open the car door with my opposite hand from the handle than I would normally, so that I have to look. Don't always remember,
Yeah.
but I try to do that.
Yeah. I have a
yeah.
couple friends who got doored. That's what it's called.
Yep, doored. I've never
You
been doored,
just-
thank God. But it's
Yeah,
the,
they were fine, but I think
Yeah.
actually no. I mean, they were fine, but it was because they had a helmet on, and I think
Yeah.
one of their helmets like cracked in half. So if
Oh,
they hadn't
that's another
had
thing.
a helmet on,
Yeah.
it would have
it would have died.
cracked their
Yeah.
head. Yeah.
If you are ever in a wreck, even if your helmet doesn't crack in half, get a new helmet.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yes.
they take the impact, and the thing is, they're not safe to use after they've taken an impact, even if it doesn't look like, even if it looks like they're safe. So if you get a new helmet, helmets
Yeah.
are like $50. There might be more now.
Probably.
Bikes you can get. So the bicycle site said that you should expect to shell out between $1,000 to $2,500 for a quality bike that'll suit your basic needs. You can get a good one for $500. I know when I was buying my bikes at REI, they were heavier, but they were good commuter bikes, and I was paying $500, $600. And that's that's not a small amount of money, but it was fine for a bike. It had no bells and whistles. You know, it was just a simple bike that ran and make sure it's the right size for you. But you can also get, like, Austin has a free bike program called the Yellow Bike Program. You can get a free bike. They give away bikes.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
find them on Craigslist. You can find them on Facebook Marketplace. You need a lock.
I got my first 2 on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
And they were under $300, I think.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
And, once you get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm riding enough. I need this to be custom to me, But
yeah.
they're worth it. And I think it's just so pleasant. I don't know. I find riding, one of my problems in Austin is that it's a shared bike and pedestrian path for the ones that are separate from cars. And pedestrians are just, in Austin, they just take up, for some reason, you have 2 people and they need 4 lanes to walk next to each other and talk. I have a bike horn that sounds like it goes, "Awooga!"
Oh my god.
And then with the bunny ears, like, I'm a Muppet. I come up behind you and you turn around and there's a Muppet coming at you on a bike. And usually it freaks them out for a minute and then they laugh, which is nice. So it, like, diffuses the situation. But, I always yell on your left and, like, try to get around
Yeah.
people. And it's not, in Albuquerque, when I would bike to work, I would be the only person on the bike path for all 16 miles. And it was
Wow.
delightful. Or there was definitely like a couple regular homeless people. And then there was an old guy out for a walk, and he would always be like, "Good morning." And I'd be like, "Good morning." And then, there'd be a couple cyclists. We had names for all of them. We had one we called Uncle Tito, who all he would do is ring his bell, and he was probably 100 years old. And he was just like, ding. He was great. But you kind of get to know, it was great in Albuquerque. It was 6:30 in the morning. I'm the only one on the path. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I miss that. Here I'll ride my bike to the bar. I don't ride my bike nearly as much as I used to, and I want to get back into it because I do miss that feeling. I mean, I don't commute to work. I go to an office one day a week, and it's too dangerous for me to ride my bike there. But
yeah,
if you work in an office that has a shower, keep your shower supplies. Like, keep your shower supplies in your office
that's
desk.
What I did.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I had my towel, and I would hang it at work, and it was just there. And then I would bring, I had like a hair dryer. Yeah, I would just bring clothes. And
just basically wait to get ready at the office.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
No, you can use baby wipes, you don't necessarily need a shower. My roommate rides his bike. He uses a bike for his primary mode of transportation. So he'll supplement with a bus, but he rides his bike to work. He has an e-bike sometimes he'll take to go get groceries at the far grocery store or whatever, but yeah, it's doable if you live in a city especially. And we will do a whole episode on trying to get bike infrastructure in your city. But
if I end up doing my coffee
let me know how that goes. That'd be
I can
awesome.
make a mean cup of coffee. That would be hard to make. Maybe I would just buy it from like Dunkin' or something. But anyway.
Yeah, just have
Yeah, I really hate not being able to leave my house and go anywhere. Drive without a car. It drives me up the wall. So.
And you have every right to feel that way.
Yeah. And if we end up staying in this house, because it's you kind of just want to abandon ship and be like, fuck it, let's move somewhere else. But then you also are like, but we have.
Wait a minute.
You have to have money.
Yeah. There's that. You don't want to sell your house right now. Okay. So the last thing we do is we give things a granola rating, and I was going to give this a 5. So our granola rating is on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being soggy, 5 being break your tooth off. How good is this product or service? And I was going to give it a 5. And I think globally, biking is a 5. But I think in America, I've got to give it a 4, which is crunchy, because we just don't have the infrastructure for it, and it can be dangerous. So in America, cycling is a great solution to most of our car trips. But it's just not always safe. And it's not always accessible. Even though bikes can be cheap and easy to maintain and all those things, better than a car. You don't need a license to ride a bike, for the record. Although you can get a DWI if you're intoxicated on a bicycle, just FYI.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, so it's not a solution for drunk driving. But
you're probably less likely unless you're really everywhere,
yeah, and you're in the middle of traffic. I mean, there aren't really police patrolling bike lanes most of the time. But
right.
I might give it a 4.5. So it's almost a 5. It's really a great solution for the environment. But just America is just not bike friendly, and that's a problem. So
yep.
So that's bikes.
All right. Well, that was awesome. I love that.
I love bikes.
It was heavier than I thought it would be. But it's
I know.
Really
I thought it was just gonna be like. I originally wrote it. I was just like, here's all the things that's great about biking. Then I was like, you know what? I need to be honest about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I will bike. I will always bike, but that doesn't mean it's the right choice for everyone, and that's important to recognize. So.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right, next week it's yours.
It's mine. Yes, I'm going to be talking about trains.
Yay! I'm excited. I love trains. So.
I'm so amped. I'm excited about this one. So.
Awesome.
Okay, so we have Patreon.
Yes.
Officially, when this launches, we will officially have had Patreon. So sign up at the link in our show notes.
And get some intimate conversations with us. All right.
Yes.
Yay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.